The CDC panel deciding the future of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The panel could decide to keep the vaccine on hold, clear it for use with a safety warning, or advise certain groups of people to avoid that particular vaccine. Emergency physician and ABC News medical contributor Dr. Darien Sutton joins us now for more on this. Dr. Sutton, how important is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine to this race to get America vaccinated? And how important do you think this decision is?
It's incredibly important. What people have to understand is that the rollout of this vaccine, specifically the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, provides tremendous benefit to particular communities who are vulnerable, as the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has a long shelf life, is easy to create, and more accessible to those who may not be accessible to the vaccines that require deep freezing storage, like Moderna and Pfizer. As far as this decision, it really, and I want to make sure that we hone in on this point. This is a rare occurrence that we are seeing, and it really is to develop guidelines that clinicians like myself can have regarding patients who may have symptoms after the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. If the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is a similar vaccine to Johnson & Johnson, can tell us any story of the future, it is likely that the recommendations that will result today will result in basically guidelines based on age and risk stratification, as these 15 cases have been with particular groups.
Are you hoping that that's the decision from the CDC today? How do you feel about it?
Well, Dan, personally, I'm hoping, because every day that we pause this vaccine, it stops the availability of this vaccine to those who need it. And as we know, the risk of COVID-19 regarding hospitalization, death, and even clotting is far greater than what we have seen in these rare cases. So what I hope today is that they come to some formal conclusion that allows this vaccine to continue to be rolled out to those who need it.
And Dr. Sutton, I want to ask you about something that Senator Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, said in a radio interview yesterday. He said that he sees, quote, no reason to be pushing vaccines on people, arguing that their distribution should be limited. And he asked, quote, if you have a vaccine, quite honestly, what do you care if your neighbor does or not? So how do you respond to that kind of argument? A lot of people might feel the same way. You know, if you have a vaccine, that's fine. Well, why do you have to, worry about whether or not I get one?
So personally, as a physician, I hope that myself and my neighbors stay alive. And that is the point of these vaccines. As we have shown, the efficacy results in all vaccines currently available within the United States prevent hospitalization and death. And that is our goal when we roll this vaccine out to millions of people who need it. As far as caring about one another, that's the central idea of my entire living as a physician. And so for me personally, I do not want to see another case of COVID-19 that could have been prevented by the use of a vaccine. And that, to me, is why I continue to encourage vaccine use among every one of my patients.
Now, there are a lot of questions still about whether or not people who are vaccinated can transmit the virus, even if they're protected from getting sick from it. And related to that, I'm sure, whether we need to be wearing masks outdoors or at all if we're fully vaccinated. What's your take on that?
This is something that we call evolving data. As time goes on, we'll get more information regarding the possibility of viral transmission after a vaccine. Right now, the preliminary information that is available to us tells us that those who are vaccinated are less likely, again, to be symptomatic for COVID-19 and therefore less likely to shed the virus, making them less likely to be infectious and contagious. As far as the rollout more of this, as far as the additional rollout of this vaccine, I just think it's incredibly important, again, because the benefits of these vaccines is so vastly outweigh these risks. And so we just need to focus on that right now.
And what do you think, Dr. Sutton? Do we need to wear masks outside, or can we start to leave those in our pocket?
So we've started to have this discussion, and I think it's a really important discussion. Right now, many scientists are coming to the plate and making statements such as the risk that we see in outdoor environments is a lot lower than that of indoor environments. What I like to help everyone understand is if you're making this decision regarding whether or not you should wear a mask, there are a couple of things that I would check before I would do that. Number one, in your community, how widespread or prevalent is the virus currently? And you can easily check that with the current CDC updates. Number two, are you in an area that is crowded and you're having close contact within 6 feet of others. And then number 3, is that area ventilated? Is it outside? I think that if you qualify for an area that isn't crowded and it's highly ventilated and outside and you're vaccinated, I personally don't think that you need to be wearing a mask in that situation. But of course, you want to make sure that the rate of incidence of the COVID-19 virus in your community is low. And again, we want to decrease our risks as much as possible, and the little effort of wearing a mask can have a great benefit.
All right, Dr. Sutton, always great to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.